You know what's interesting? While millions of people are emotionally locked into one massive cultural event, there's a huge number of people who feel absolutely nothing about it. Not boredom, not annoyance, just nothing. Complete emotional neutrality. And what's funny is how uncomfortable that makes everyone else. Because when something is that loud culturally, we assume caring is the default. We assume interest is automatic, but it's not. It never has been. Here's the thing most people don't stop to think about. The human brain is not hardwired to care about sports. There is no biological setting that automatically activates excitement just because a game is important to society. Nobody is born caring about touchdowns, rivalries, or championship narratives. What is happening for people who love events like the Super Bowl is a mix of identity, social bonding, and emotional outsourcing. When a team wins, the brain often processes it as a personal victory, even though the individual didn't actually contribute anything to the outcome. That's not an insult. It's not stupidity. It's just how social brains work. There's even a term for it, basking in reflected glory. Your brain releases dopamine when your team succeeds because it feels connected to that success. You feel included in something bigger than yourself. But not everyone's brain responds to that stimulus. Some people simply don't get that dopamine spike from watching outcomes they can't influence. To them, the emotional investment feels disconnected. They can see the tension rising, they can understand why others are excited, but their nervous system never fully buys into the stakes. And that difference matters more than people realize. There's research showing that humans have wildly different optimal stimulation levels. Some people crave intensity, loud environments, emotional swings, suspense, chaos. Others experience that same intensity as draining rather than exciting. What feels thrilling to one person can feel exhausting to another. So, when someone says they don't care about the Super Bowl, it's not rebellion. It's not trying to be edgy or different. Their nervous system may simply prefer a lower volume setting. The constant momentum shifts, the emotional highs and lows, the noise and the stakes don't energize them, they deplete them.
Then there's the control factor. When you watch a game, you're emotionally invested in something you have zero influence over. The outcome will be exactly the same no matter how hard you hope, yell, analyze, or wear lucky clothing. For some people, that lack of control is part of the fun. The unpredictability is the point. For others, it feels fundamentally unsatisfying. They'd rather invest emotional energy into things where effort leads to a direct result. Creating something, learning something, improving a skill, solving a problem. Watching tension unfold without agency doesn't feel like entertainment. It feels like stress with no payoff. Now, layer modern life on top of that. Notifications, deadlines, news cycles, financial pressure, constant information. Most people already feel overstimulated before the game even starts. For some, the Super Bowl isn't an event, it's just another demand on attention in a world that already asks for too much. Add the crowds, the volume, the constant commentary, and what's a celebration for one person becomes a 3-hour endurance test for another. The lights are too bright, the noise is too loud, the emotional energy in the room is overwhelming. There's also uncertainty tolerance. Some people love not knowing what will happen. Others hate it. Sports are built entirely on unpredictability, and while that creates excitement for fans, it creates low-grade anxiety for people who don't enjoy suspense for its own sake. They're not enjoying the tension, they're enduring it. If the outcome doesn't affect your actual life, sitting through hours of manufactured tension can start to feel absurd. It's the same reason some people love horror movies, while others can't stand them. Different nervous systems have different relationships with stress, even when it's framed as fun. And then there's the cultural layer. At this point, the Super Bowl isn't just a football game, it's a ritual. Commercials, halftime shows, traditions, themed food, social expectations. If football doesn't do anything for you, all that extra spectacle doesn't compensate, it amplifies the disconnect. You're surrounded by people reacting intensely to something that doesn't land for you at all. You're expected to join in, comment, care, and perform enthusiasm, and that mismatch can feel isolating in a way that's hard to explain. It's not just boring, it can feel strangely lonely.
But here's the part nobody likes to admit. Sometimes there's no psychological explanation at all. Sometimes people just don't like things. We've become so obsessed with explaining every difference that we forget this basic truth. Humans have different tastes. Some people love football. Some people love motorsports. Some people love chess, documentaries, niche hobbies, or things you've never thought about twice. Not caring about the Superbowl doesn't mean you lack passion. It usually just means your passion lives somewhere else. What's actually revealing is how defensive people get when someone says they don't care. Because for many people, sports aren't just entertainment. They're identity, their community, their belonging. And when someone opts out, it can feel like a rejection of the group itself. Not caring gets interpreted as criticism. But it's not. It's just another reminder that we don't all experience the same stimuli the same way. And honestly, that diversity is probably the only reason society works at all. Millions of people can lose their minds over one event, while millions of others are perfectly content doing something else entirely. And both experiences can exist at the same time. That's it. That's the whole point.